Hello, I'm Lisa Bowerman and I play Bernie Summerfield, and welcome to Audio Heads podcast.
Okay, hello and welcome to Audio Heads. And we are discussing and reviewing Davros, the third part, Corruption, with Terry Malloy and other great people. And I've got some really great people here to review it with me. And we are geeks assembled in this group, and so let's start off with the oldest member of Geeks Assembled. Let's go to Beef Dad.
Well, I sat and I listened to it, and it's brilliant. It doesn't let you down at all. This week you get the death of his mother. You also get the thing that puts him into his life support machine. There were some extraordinary moments. The whole thing is superb. Terry Malloy is just absolutely brilliant. Carolyn Jones playing Lady Calcula is superb. She really is just so damn good. And of course, Nicholas Briggs doing all the Dalek voices, but except for one. And yeah, it's all getting to the point. It's all getting to the point. The Daleks are about to be created. And yeah, it's taken 3 episodes to get there, but it's given you so much background on Davros that you really understand how Davros became Davros. It's very, very clever, very, very well done, well written, brilliantly acted. So that's me for the time being.
Okay, let's shoot to Hal to just to get Lee in here in case he falls out again. So without, giggling or whatever. Anyway.
I haven't fallen out yet. I agree with Beef Dad. It's so well written, so well put together. It is an amazing story from his teenager Davros up to him becoming the wheelchair-bound scientist on Skaro. And as you say, his mother, well, what a brilliant character. And I think we were right last time. She literally did become the first cold click, I suppose. Yeah, it's just an amazing. I just love the way they've built up his background, and as Beef Dad said, you can see how he comes and why he becomes this maniac, this dictator sort of thing. And Terry Malloy, wow, what a brilliant! I mean, a lot of people diss Terry Malloy because they always go for the Michael Wisher side with it being the original Davros, but Terry Malloy has played Davros so many times. He's got it down to a T. I love the guy. He's a funny guy if you ever get to meet him. It's just an awesome story. So that's my opening thoughts on this, Susan.
Thanks. And with that, let's go to Susan. Susan Wyman, knock us out. Tell us what you think.
It's one of the best stories I have heard in a long time. And I don't mean Doctor Who stories, I mean any story. It's compelling, it's well written, and I'm not sure what makes a story or a book a well-written story or book anymore, because this was so good. And I don't know what it is, but it keeps drawing you in. So if you like a good story, I think the story is for everybody who can handle a bit of darkness. and it's really, it's pretty amazing. That's my beginning.
Thank you. And Texas Tim, what did you think about Davros, the corruption?
I thought it was a little bit less compelling than the previous two entries in a way, but if there's one thing that it does very well is it shows you the futility of war and how ridiculously stupid it is to have two different groups of people fighting with each other for thousands of years. But I mean, I guess the main point is that he is gone completely bonkers now, and to the point where he doesn't care about his own people anymore. He just wants to turn them into what the next best thing, the next thing that's coming, their evolution way is the way he sees it, and that's what makes him a true madman. It's a bit sad too that he actually makes a friend or a girlfriend sort of situation with this one young scientist, but by the end, she says the P word, so he can't be bothered with that. I mean, he's not gonna tolerate the word peace. So I mean, it's a pretty interesting story. I think it was good too that we've finally gotten to the point where he is who he is, which is the guy in the chair. And it'll be interesting to see how they wrap this up, because obviously the whole framing device has been him arguing with the dots that he's still necessary to their continued evolution as the bastards that they are, and they don't think they need him anymore. I think that's what the whole framing device has been throughout the story. So it'll be interesting to see how they resolve this Farpork story.
All right, and yeah, I'm really enjoying the darkness that Davros is beginning. His beginning is setting up some painful things for his people, for the Kaled people. The Kaleds are doomed basically, and the Thals are doomed as well. And it was interesting seeing the there is a genetic, even an organic, not organic, I mean physiological difference between the two species, and that one of them may not have originated on Skaro. I don't know. Those sorts of questions were brought up, like these two species that have been at war, like apparently they're different species. They're not just different. They aren't just different ethnicities or whatever on the same planet from the same basic species. Anyway, it's interesting. So Davros is moving into that master race sort of thing, and his breakdown, his moral breakdown is completely underway in this one. And so I was just wondering, what did you think of his moral breakdown? What have you thought of the darkness that's coming in? I'll start with Susie in this one, because anyway, yeah.
Okay. Well, it's odd. A lot of evil characters that you read or you see on television, they develop into being evil. I think this kid was born this way. I mean, he just, from the beginning, he callously didn't care when she killed his father in front of her. He, stuck his tutor into a chamber and radiated him down. I mean, the way that he talked when he used to go swimming and pull the mutations out of the lake. I mean, he just has always had this cold, scientific way of looking at things. But I think he always would have been a cold-hearted scientist. But the environment that he's grown up in has allowed that to thrive and flourish because of the war. And it's amazing to see in him how much was just him and how much was where he was living. And I think no matter where he was born, he would have ended up as some kind of a cold-hearted villain. But this one, Atmosphere had the effect of growing him into the coldest, darkest, hardest villain imaginable. I mean, this guy makes Darth Vader look somewhat angelic. I mean, at least Darth Vader had some compunction about his children being hurt on some level, but, you know, he's like, oh, you like peace? You're dead. You know, you're my mom? Oh, you'll make great genetic material. Yeah, it's true. You know, he looks at it from one point of view, and for him it's not a good or bad thing, it just is. Science is the questioning and the answers to questions, and how you get those answers, and where you're, and this past episode, he starts injecting pregnant mothers with stuff that kills the mothers and makes the infants develop into the first form of Dalek. No, come on, that's pretty hardcore, disgustingly evil. So yeah, this environment has enabled him to thrive as being an evil villain. He puts Cersei to shame. I mean, he just, you know, you name an evil villain, and I think he tops them all, because there's just nothing, there is no compassion there. Compassion does not exist. It's purely on or off. And he just does not care who you are, what your relationship is to him, or not. I was really shocked at how quickly he turned on his, quote, girlfriend assistant. She just brought up the P word once, and she was history. He didn't even give her a chance to change his mind or anything. I agree with, I think it's Tim, who said that this wasn't as compelling as the other two, and he's right. This wasn't as, I don't want to say eventful, but it wasn't as, I don't know, as fast-paced of an installment, but it still was just really amazing. So yeah, if there was ever an evil mind that was in the perfect incubator to become evil, Davros is in the perfect place on Scarrow.
Okay, cool. Let's go to Tim. Tim, since you mentioned him, what did you think about his descent into evil? His moral.
Well, I agree that he was pretty much that way from the start. As a child, he has no empathy for anybody but science, and he only sees that. Here's the thing: his whole problem is that he's been part of the science division, but they're expected to do nothing but make weapons. He wants to experiment on creatures and find out what their evolution is, and that's his whole thing. And he doesn't care who he has to use for that, including his own mother. So I mean, yeah, he's been a relentless kind of villain since he was a young kid. I mean, that's what we saw in the first episode, and it's interesting that, you know, that already, I think that the Thals already know that he's the guy they want to stop, because they already kind of know. I don't know if they've been to the future or something, or they're time traveling yet, but they know that this is the guy they need to get rid of from their point of view. We saw that in episode 2 as well. But yeah, like I said, it'll be interesting to see what they do with him next in the part 4, because now he is Davros, the guy that we know from television, and it'll be interesting to see where they go from that, or what are the first Daleks like? I mean, what does he do to get to that point? I mean, from where we are now to the ultimate killing machine is what he wants it to be. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Cool. Let's go to Lee. What did you think of his moral destruction?
I agree with what everyone said. He's got no morals. It's just science. But also, me personally, I think his mother made him. She made him for what he becomes. So you just can't blame him. You've got to blame that wonderful character of his mother for developing, molding him in her way. I mean, I don't know if she was expecting to go out like that, but it's all down to science with him. There's nothing else matters to him. It's science, 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 and getting results. There's no morals whatsoever, and he's proven that in the audios, on TV. He doesn't know what morals are.
That's true. How about you, Beef Dad? What do you think about his descent into evil?
Well, it was family fueled, really. It was family fueled. It has been right from the very beginning, because he ended up, he's got a hatred of politics, so he went into the science. When his mother dies, well, actually, his mother was the one that flicked the radiation switch that killed her and the guy she wanted to kill, who was under instructions to kill her from the Supremo. She flicks the switch, but then when Sean says, "Can't you do something to help your mother? Can't you do something to help her survive?" Because by then the other guy's dead. He said, "No, you can't unfry an egg." Whoa, what a brilliant line. You know, and it just shows a total lack of empathy for his mother. But then the extraordinary thing was, in her final speech, her voice got more and more and more and more Dalek as it went on, and that was just extraordinary. It was brilliantly done. But then he goes to see the Supremo, and of course all his mother's supporters, basically a private army, are all now on his side. The Supremo realizes this, offers him a place on the council, but he doesn't want that. He's not interested in politics. What he wants is complete autonomy from the council for the science, and he gets it. And now he's got that, he's just going to be unstoppable as far as the experimentation is concerned. He's cold-hearted and calculating. His mother tried to convince him at one time that there was no place in his life for emotion. And this is where the corruption comes in. He was morally corrupted right from the very beginning, from childhood right the way through.
Yes, I agree. I thought that he never had any pain that was impelling this change. There was never any sort of trauma or emotional thing that was impelling this change into darkness. He was just being pulled by his own wisdom, his fried egg wisdom, and I love that line. Well remembered, Beef Dad. That was great. So his fried egg wisdom, his this morphology, this evolution, this it was just that sort of thing was what he was after. And he was after, there was never going to be someone who would stand against Davros in no way. There's no politics that could overwhelm him. There's no romance. There's nothing in his life that is ever going to overcome the darkness until I guess years and years and years later, when he knocks into the doctor, when you know, and tries to steal his regeneration energy. Anyway, I mean, he's just, there's no way to stop this train. And I just like that. I like this. I like what they're doing with this character. I like his surrounding characters. I love his mother. I think that she's brilliant. And so what do you guys think of the other characters? Let's start off with Lee.
Well, as I said last time, I think the Supremo is a brilliant character. And the mother, yeah, it's just wonderful characterization. Also, the character he portrays, I can't remember her name now, is a scientific assistant who he portrays because all she wants peace. That was just wonderful. She was wonderfully played there, and I had an inkling it was coming, but I wasn't, but it still came as a surprise when he just did her over to her, to be executed. It was wonderfully played. It's a great ensemble cast, just brilliantly acted. I think the socks off it, to be honest. Brilliantly done.
Yeah, thanks, Lee. How about you, Tim? What do you think of the other characters?
The characters. Well, I mean, I felt kind of bad for the other characters because no matter what they do, this guy's going to win. I mean, the girl was very disturbed by the image she saw in the video, and quite rightly thought, "Isn't there a better way than this 1,000 years of war? I mean, wouldn't it be better if we just all kind of like got along, Rodney King or whatever?" But it's impossible as far as he's concerned because he doesn't want that. He wants the next evolution of their race, and that's what he's going to create. He's convinced that's the only way to be. He's not interested in peace at all, and that's the sad kind of thing about the characters, because they end up being labeled as criminals and put to death because they don't agree with the plan. So otherwise, yeah, like Lee said, it was brilliantly acted. I mean, it's a faultless production from Big Finish as always. So, but yeah, you almost wish I don't know, because when you listen to these, you're kind of rooting for the bad guy because he's the lead character. But I don't, I just assume have him stopped somehow because he's the bad guy. But that's just me.
Okay, Susie, what do you think of the other characters around him?
I don't think they obviously are as well developed as he and the mother were. He and the mother and the initial family. There isn't as much background to them. We don't quite understand what's going on with them, but it doesn't matter because, like you said, his story, and they're basically there and function as foils. It's interesting how in the story he said he hates politics, and yet he found that it came easily to him. Yeah, it's genetic. I mean, how could it not rub off when you've got a mother who's so brilliant, an evil, brilliant politician? And I found it really interesting that the Kals and the Kaleds are supposedly two different species, not two different races. And I thought, if I recall, we're getting, how close are we to, like, Susan, how close are we to, like, the genesis of the Daleks, to when that's going to kick in?
We have the whole fourth story in this arc, so I'm not really sure.
So, well, I don't recall, because I really haven't seen that story in a while, so I don't recall, did they know about other planets and space travel and all that back then?
Oh yes, they were already aware that there was stuff going on, and right. So some of the weaponry that they stole, they got from other planets around them.
Well, because in this particular story, it's mentioned that they couldn't find any other planets that they could see that they could live on. which is part of the reason why they were developing ways to provide, he thought. Now, the question is he developing the Daleks as a way to preserve his species, or is he developing the Daleks because he just sees it as a cool scientific experiment that can come to fruition? It's an interesting question, but it just confused me a little when they said they didn't see any other planets that were capable of supporting life close enough to them. So
Could not that just be the propaganda of the two governments, that they actually know more than they let the people know?
Well, that's possible. That's possible. It was just something that kind of made me stop and think, wait a minute, I don't recall in Genesis of the Daleks they were all that surprised by having visitors from other planets.
I think that story takes place several years after this, though, because Davros has already been around. He's an old man by that time.
I know. So sometime between now and then, I guess it becomes more commonplace.
I don't really know, but I just remember hearing that the weaponry that they were using against each other was even coming from, outer space.
Right. Well, who knows? Science.
I mean, I may not have remembered right or whatever. But
Yeah.
You make a really good point. I'll just talk now.
Oh no, you're good. I like it when we talk to each other. It's kind of easier to instead of talk listen. It's kind of easier to go. But it it made me think, and the whole thing about them being different. At first, I thought that the whole thing was kind of an allegory on our society. But the fact that these are different species as opposed to different races made me stop and think that maybe they're trying to set it a little more outside of our society than I had thought to begin with. I guess I'm just so used to so many stories being a cautionary tale for us. And I don't really see this one as much of a cautionary tale as others that are closer to where we are.
No, their society is nothing like ours. We don't drag kids out of school just for asking about rations and killing them. So I mean, this is a far different society.
Maybe not. Thank God, maybe not our society, but there are obviously places on Earth that happens.
Well, I think the Nazi reference is still the obvious one.
Oh, right.
So okay, Jeffrey, what did you think of the surrounding characters, and could you want to make a comment about what we're talking about here?
Well, Katrina played Scientist Chat, the female. She was really, really good. She had empathy, but that empathy was basically what killed her. Section Leader Fenn, who was under instruction from the Supremo to kill Lady Calcula. Again, good solid little performance there. Councillor Valron, I'm just wondering if we're going to hear more of him. That could get interesting. But did you notice that when he came out in his after the bomb had hit and he was saved and he came out, how everybody basically turned away from him, and that was made me think, wow, even the scientific community are trying to turn their backs on him. That really got me, yeah. And of course we did have a reference in this one to all the mutants and mutated creatures in the lakes and also in the sewers under the city, which, as we know, come up again later. There's some giant mutated clams and things there. But yeah, it's I think we're getting pretty close to Genesis, because I would say that as soon as the first Daleks arrive, you're going to see the end of the Supremo and of the Council, and Davros will basically be dictator in charge.
Do they not imply that he is already, though, in a way? The way he demands, what he demands from the Supremo at the end of the story, like, no, you're going to give me this, and I'm going to do this, and you know what I mean?
What he's got is he's got autonomy for the scientific community.
Mm-hmm.
What he doesn't want to be involved in is the politics. So he's leaving them with the politics. The council is still surviving, but once he has basically got the whole Dalek thing going, I think that is the point where we're going to see the end of the political community in this. And
You know, when they get in his way, because he was blackmailing, right? That's how he got power. He blackmailed the guy.
pardon?
He blackmailed the guy, didn't he?
Sorry, I can't hear you clearly, Sue.
Really? Oh, I don't know.
Hmm.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Wasn't he blackmailing to get the science thing with the knowledge that he...
Yeah, because basically he has all his mother's troops,
Right.
which he basically built herself a little private army, and
Right.
he's now got all his mother's troops, and they're all in sort of important positions. So by doing that, he got himself autonomy for the scientific community, which is what he wants. He doesn't want the scientific community to have to answer to the politicians.
As far as the correlation... Oh, I'm sorry.
So from now, he's on his own on the science side. He doesn't have to answer to the Supremo or anyone else on the side about the science side of things, because that's him.
Yeah, we talked earlier, like in the last couple reviews of this, the story about the correlation between this and I, Claudius, which is where the title came from. I mean, in this, the way that she set her up, I mean, this mom really did set up her son in very, very similar fashion. And I was surprised at how almost she gave it up to him. You would think she'd want to be around to see it. But she just, I don't know if she just calculated that the only way she was going to win. But it was...
Well, him being haunted by her voice and the other woman's voice at the end of the story is very I, Claudius.
Very I, Claudius, yeah.
Yeah. But the whole thing about it is if his mother is the Livia of the story,
Right.
Livia was not Claudius's mother.
That's true.
Livia was Claudius's grandmother.
Correct.
So there's probably bits that
Yeah, well, Claudius was the accidental emperor that Livia never envisioned that. She never would have wanted that. If she'd known he was going to be the emperor of Rome, she would have killed him when he was an infant.
Oh no, she did know that, because the Sybil had given him the information that he would one day become emperor of Rome. She knew.
Oh.
But it's right in one sense that the title is not a direct reference to how the story went. But it does give you a really cool way to think about it, because she's definitely Livia's clone on Davros.
It is a story based on that, but it's not a parallel story. So yeah. So I'm glad you brought that up. I'm gonna probably end up rewatching I, Claudius this week, or in the fortnight, just to see what it looks like.
Livia worked very, very hard to get her son Tiberius to become emperor.
Yeah.
When you do it, do it.
Okay, so let's let's rate it, and you know, let's give this one a rating, and then we shall continue on shortly with the rest of the series. Let's start off with, yeah, let's go to Lee. What do you think of this? And let's give it a rating, will you?
Well, yeah, it's. I agree what's been said about this story. It's not fast-paced and compelling as the last two, but it's still damned good. So just for that reason, I'm just half a point off. It's 9.5. It's only a little gripe, but I still love the story. It kept me enthralled, and I can't wait for the next part, because with the trailer at the end of this, Nida's back.
Yep, Nider's back. All right. How about Beef Dad? What's your final say and your rating, please?
Yes, okay. Yeah, people say it's not as fast-paced, but there are things happening all the time in this. The story goes on and on and on. There isn't any point where everything sort of comes to a dead halt and it gets boring. Yeah, it's like, yeah, you can't say that everything's going to be like an American action film with car chases every 5 minutes and explosions and this, that, and the other. You're not going to get that. This is for people who think. And this particular episode, I found, really made me think. And basically get more and more involved. So for me, this, I'm sorry, Lee, this still gets a 10 for me.
Thank you. Susie, what do you think of this? And please give a rating.
You know, I was thinking about it if I were going to rate it just as this particular story, but I would have said exactly what Lee said. But I look at this as just a chapter in a 4-part, you know, in a book. So I'm going to go with a 10 to 10, because not every part of the book isn't exactly the same. But I mean, that's such a little quibble that it's awesome. The thing is awesome. I can't recommend it enough. If you've just seen this and you haven't seen the first 2 reviews, go back to. Sorry, I have a flash flood alert apparently. Okay, that's it. 10.
Thank you so much. And Tim, what did you think of it? And please give a rating.
Well, I agree with everything everybody said. It's part 3 of a whole story. So I mean, it's hard to. I wasn't being critical when I said it wasn't as compelling. I just meant in the sense that we're in part 3 of an overall tale, and it's where they're going to start ramping up to the finale. So I mean, it's. I didn't mean to say that it wasn't as fast paced or anything. I just think, I don't know. I was more entertained by the first two sections, as the best way to put it. So I'm with Lee. I'm gonna give it a 9.5. I'm not complaining about the quality though at all. This is an excellent box set, one that I've slept on for years. I didn't ever think about listening to it because I didn't know what it was, and it's very good.
Thanks. I will agree with Tim and Lee. I will say it's a 9.5. I am actually, you know, I'm pretty weirded out by the whole process of his evil. Davros is an amazing character. I've learned to really enjoy his stuff. I mean, he's and Terry Malloy's got chops. I mean, he's fleshed out Davros's darkness, and he's fleshed out Davros's motivations on every level. And so I'm gonna, 9.5 for me. And I would like to thank you guys for listening to these. I'm sorry it's not the hearts and rainbows and puppies and stuff like that, but it's Davros, and he's dark and scary and really, really wicked. And I'm picking up that word having moved to Massachusetts. Everybody here says wicked. It's funny. Anyway, so like, let's get together in a fortnight and talk about part 4. And in the meantime, yours truly, I'm going to go watch I, Claudius to pick it up again. And I'd like to thank everybody for being here. And thanks for listening to audios. Thanks for supporting Big Finish. Thanks for, loving Doctor Who. And thanks for watching our videos. And, subscribe to our channel and give our videos a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and just, definitely, just respond to what we're doing and comment away. And thanks. Come back soon. Bye-bye.